Tamilarasan, a simple name for a boy with grand ambitions. Everyone called him Kamalam. It meant lotus in Tamil. His mother chose it. She believed it symbolized purity and prosperity. Little did she know her son's life would be anything but. Kamalam was born into a middle-class family. They weren't rich, but they weren't poor either. His father was a hard-working government clerk, his mother a loving homemaker. They lived in a modest home. Life was comfortable, predictable, but Kamalam craved more. He yearned for a life of luxury. He despised the ordinary. He wanted to be rich, really rich. Kamalam would spend hours daydreaming. He'd imagine himself draped in silk shirts. He'd be driving flashy cars. Beautiful women would hang on his every word. He wanted to be the envy of all. He couldn't stand the sight of his father riding his old scooter. He hated their modest living room. He loathed their simple meals. He wanted it all, and he wanted it now. He would boast to his friends about his future riches. They would laugh. They thought he was delusional. But Kamalam believed. He believed that one day he would get everything he ever wanted. Kamalam started young. He started flirting with girls. He started drinking wine, not just a glass or two. He needed 3 glasses every single day. It made him forget. It made him dream. Then came the betting. Daffabet was his poison. He couldn't resist its allure. He started small, a few rupees here and there, but soon it wasn't enough. He needed bigger risks, higher stakes. He couldn't sleep without placing a bet. It consumed him. He chased the thrill of winning. He was blinded by the possibility of easy money. He was in too deep. And then it happened, the day Kamalam's life changed. He won big, 1 crore rupees, a life-changing amount. He couldn't believe his luck. He was ecstatic. He finally had the money to buy everything he ever desired. He quit his job. He abandoned his family. He said he didn't need them anymore. He was a self-made millionaire. He bought a luxury car. He rented a penthouse apartment. He was living the high life, the life he always dreamed of. He was on top of the world, but his happiness was fleeting. 1 crore wasn't enough. Kamalam wanted more. He craved the adrenaline rush, the thrill of the gamble. He went back to Daffabet. This time he bet bigger. He was invincible, or so he thought. He lost. And then he lost again and again. But he couldn't stop. He was chasing his losses. He was in denial. He was trapped. He started selling his possessions, his car, his watch, his designer clothes. He was desperate. He needed to win back what he had lost. He needed another taste of that high. But the house always wins. Kamalam lost everything. His money, his possessions, his dignity. He was back to where he started. But this time, it was worse. He was in debt. Loan sharks were after him. He had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. He was alone. He had pushed away everyone who cared about him, his family, his friends. They had warned him. They had begged him to stop. But he didn't listen. He was too caught up in his own greed. Kamalam was broken. He had hit rock bottom. He was homeless. He was forced to sleep on the streets he once dreamt of conquering in his luxury car. He scavenged for scraps. He begged for money. He was a shadow of his former self. The man who once dreamt of silk shirts now wore rags. The man who craved expensive wine now thirsted for even a drop of water. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had everything, and then he had nothing. He had flown too close to the sun, and now he was paying the price. People walked past him. They averted their eyes. They pretended not to see him. He was invisible. He was an outcast. He was a reminder of their own mortality, a cautionary tale. Some recognized him. They mocked him. They called him a fool. They said he deserved it. They were right. He had no one to blame but himself. He had let greed consume him. He had traded his life for a fleeting dream, and now he was living a nightmare. Kamalam's story is a tragedy. It's a story about greed, about addiction, about the dangers of chasing illusions. It's a story that reminds us that true happiness cannot be bought. It cannot be won in a bet. It's a story that teaches us that the most valuable things in life are the ones we often take for granted. Family, friends, love. These are the things that truly matter. Kamalam learned this lesson the hard way. He lost everything, but in losing everything, he found himself. He found humility. He found remorse. He found a newfound appreciation for the simple things in life. It was a lesson he would never forget.